Hey guys. So, yeah, this video is going to be a long talking video about the Connex Prosight HD system. If my hand is a bit unsteady, it's because this guy wants to be in on the interview. So let's bring him in. Let's see if we can find a good angle here, because he's in that mood. Now, I made a video about the Connex Prosight HD system. What's up with the hair, buddy? That's too much hair. I made a video about this system, and I made the video based on the fact that it frustrated me. Now, I'm gonna try to keep this as short as I can, but it's gonna be a long video anyways. Basically, the first video I did, I had a lot of dropouts. I had a lot of random dropouts. I had a lot of frustration, and you know, I ended up contacting the forums and contacting the dealers, and I tried to get some support, but in the end it was all the same. Nothing helped. So being frustrated, I made a video, and I basically said, you know, in the video I said, for me this is not working. I've tried this, and that, and if this is how it's going to be, I'm going to return it. So you know, right now I think the technology is too unstable. Sorry for the sounds, but I have a cold, as you might be able to hear and see. Hi kitty. Hello. Let's get back to it. So, yeah, the thing is, I got a call from Amimon. Got a call from Israel all of a sudden. Didn't take it, thought it was a salesman. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna answer your call, buddy. 4 times after, I got another call, and I picked it up, and it turns out it was this Amimon guy. And he very kindly asked me if I wanted to revise my video. And I said, you know, I don't want to take it down. And then the guy said, you know, how about this? We'll send you a new system because I returned the other one and got my money back. Basically, he said, we'll send you a new a new HD system. Go test it. You can keep it for free. And I said, well, you know, here's what I think we should do instead. Send me the system. If it turns out that, you know, I was wrong and that the system actually works, I'll keep it, because then I'll make a new video saying that, you know, I was wrong, because I do believe that when people make something, they need credit where credit is due. And you know, if I'm wrong, I don't want to be the guy saying this system doesn't work and hurting their sales. On the other hand, if it turns out that it's not working, then I just wanted to send the system back, I told him, and I didn't want to tamper with my video. I would let it be as it is. So now you're seeing this video, which means that it's working. So very briefly, let me go over this. I tested it over 2 flights. The first flight, or 2 trips out, because the weather's been shit and I've been sick. The first flight out, I put it on my Alien butter quad. It's been a long time since I flew, so that footage is horrible. It's so slow and it's so boring and it's just bad. But it did fly nice. I had no problems with it, like 0 problems actually. I had it go to black screen 3 times, but I did so on purpose. I was flying behind myself, maybe 100 meters. Like 1 meter above the ground, and there were like several trees between me and the quad, and there were several buildings between me and the quad. So I think that's, even an analog system wouldn't have taken that abuse. And the second, it went pixelating and then went black, and I punched it up in the air and I got the signal back on all 3 accounts. So I had like 0 issues with it. Then I went home and I rebuilt my butter quad, because I got tired of it basically, and I rebuilt my Alien 5-inch. Now I put it in there, and I was out yesterday, I think, or the day before yesterday. You know, better footage, but to be honest, my tuning was all over the place. It was super windy. I was still sick, slow in my mind. I had loosened the gimbals on my what's it called? Not the Tyrannis, the other one. God dang it, brain, why do you leave me? Well, on my remote, I loosened the gimbals, and they were so loose I had no throttle control, so it was really bad. But I did test it thoroughly there, and I did test it like, you know, flying some kind of acro, and, you know, what I could with the day and with the talents I've been given. And my conclusion is this: because not only is it working, but it's actually working better than I expected. because what I did on the last trip out was that I tried to treat it like an analog system. So I went out there, I put up the tripod, and I just immediately took off. I didn't leave it for a few minutes. Hello, cat. So here we go again. I didn't leave it for a few minutes. I actually took off right away. And I flew in high performance mode and high quality mode, and it was just working. There was no dropouts, there was no anything. Even though I didn't wait the appropriate minute or minute and a half that you should, it just worked. I had no dropouts. I didn't try to get any dropouts though. I just flew the normal spot side fly, and it was perfect. So on that account, I definitely have to say the system is working, and the system is very good. Now, picture quality wise and latency, in high performance mode, you get a lot of pixels on it. The best way to describe this difference is versus a normal analog, I think, is that on an analog picture you have a smooth image. On a high performance mode you have a pixelated image, but every info inside those pixels, it's kind of like the whole screen is divided into blocks, but every block contains more information and sharper details than the analog system does. But on the whole, the image doesn't look as nice. I think that's the most fair way to describe it. So I think that for racing, for something where you need to like go through gates and stuff like that, the system is really, really good. But for me, I felt sorry, all the hair in the air. What the fuck, cat? For me, I felt that it was something I had to kind of get into when flying. I didn't necessarily care for the pixelation. It just reminded me of a bad video game or something. It wasn't that bad. It sounds bad when I describe it now, but it wasn't that bad. It was definitely not unflyable, and it wasn't anything where you go like, oh, I don't want to do this. The latency was no issue. I could not feel the difference between my system with analog and the Prosight system with high performance. There was no latency. So if latency is your concern, it shouldn't be. For high quality mode, on the other hand, the high quality is so good that I went up in the air trying to make a dive on the first trip out, and instead of diving, I ended up just doing a panorama of the whole thing, because it was just breathtaking. It was fantastic to view everything in full HD and just fly. Latency wise though, you can fly. I did make several tricks and I did shoot some gaps and stuff like that, but I don't want to do it. I mean, it just feels, you feel too disconnected for it. So I would have to say that high quality mode is definitely more for scenery or for filming or for just exploring maybe, or helping find a lost quad, because you can see everything. And this brings me to the next point. Now, the way I have to look at this is, if this was a system I just bought, would I return it or would I keep it? I think that I would return it. And why is that? Well, see, here's the thing. I like to fly acro. I'm trying to get better at flying acro so that I end up with a quad that is completely locked into what I know, and you know, so it feels like a game. So it feels like a game I'm in control of. I really like being in control of stuff. And I don't like the fact that you have to carry around this tripod and this big transmitter and receiver and, you know, all these things. It is a little bit bulky, but, and there's a big but to that. That whole thing with the 5 antennas that you have to mount on the tripod, the system is now so stable that I actually put it on my remote underneath with double-sided tape, and this worked perfectly. So in that sense, the whole system became a lot more mobile. You could even tape that thing to the back of your backpack, go out somewhere and just put your backpack on the ground and fly, and it would be fine, unless you're trying to do like extreme ranges or, you know, flying behind buildings and stuff like that. So for that purpose it would work, but for me, I like the analog smoothness of the picture. So I have to say that for me, I think that right now I'm still more attracted to the analog easiness of everything. Just having the fat sharks, having the smooth picture, I like all these things, but I can definitely see a big difference in the Prosight system. I mean, I was able to fly up to branches and actually cut them with my propellers. I don't think I actually filmed this when I tried it, but it was so crisp and clear that you know, that was no problem. In one of the videos, which I'm probably showing in the background, just showing after this, I'm flying through some sticks, some wooden sticks that are standing out there. Now I know from experience that those sticks are really hard to see on the analog system, but there were no problem seeing them on the Prosight system. So, you know, it has a benefit, it has a great benefit, but I think that if you're a racer, or if you want to be a racer, this might be all you need. If you want to fly in forests and stuff like that, this is definitely what you need, because you cannot do that reliable with an analog system yet, I think. So it has a lot of benefits. But for me right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in another quad, and I'm gonna take it out some more over time, and actually see, you know, if I fall more for it, if I fall more in love with it, because Postman just came. Fantastic, I've been waiting for this. So anyway, where was I? Well, let me sum it up. I do think the Prosight HD is fantastic value for money, because it is. I mean, it's just working. It's working really freaking good. I think that it's more impressive to me now that I've tried it a few times and actually had some issues with it, because when I read about this in the beginning, it seemed like, you know, have the tripod put this up and you have to line of sight. And that's just not the case. I mean, the system is so stable right now, at least for me, that I could probably take, you know, that thing over there and just put it on the ground and fly. I could keep it on my backpack, and I didn't expect that to be possible, because the way everybody describes it, it's like this setup procedures, you know, and you have to wait 2 minutes before flying, and it just worked. So I think that I've debunked my old video, and I owe Amimon an apology. I will say though that customer support was a bit, you know, Globeflight, whom I bought the system from, were very helpful. So in that sense, it's not the customer support. They've been brilliant through this. What I'm talking about is, you know, on the forums, on the emails, and I was in contact with Amimon about this issue, and instead of them just acting like, oh, there might be something wrong with our system, they kind of acted like there might be something wrong with you. And that's never a good thing. On the other hand, they probably have a lot of people, you know, experiencing problems due to like rookie mistakes, and so they have to go through this checklist. But that's the feeling I got. Now, would I recommend this system? Oh, that's a difficult one, because it's an expensive system. I have to say that if you're starting out and you're new, I probably would not recommend it, just because of the fact that I can see this system getting damaged, like in multiple places. So the transmitter can get damaged by just, you know, taking it with you. It's a pretty sturdy unit though, but it can. The built-in components that you put in your quad are quite large. So in the event of a crash, you could definitely damage them. That's no different than damaging your analog system, but your analog system is so much, first of all, it's cheaper. So if something happens, you can buy another one. Secondly, it's so much smaller, so you can kind of package it in there so nothing happens to it. So for that reason, I would have to say that for beginners, I probably wouldn't buy this system. But if you're at the place in your quad abilities where crashing is something that happens because you choose to do stupid stuff and you kind of are in control of everything, then I would actually recommend it, because it's a good system. I mean, I can see a lot of uses for it. If I was a racer, I think actually I would prefer this over an analog system, because it just seems like it's... I've had analog systems that kind of have dropouts or have a lot of static, or, you know, and my camera just turned off for no reason. I think it's getting too hot. But I've had analog systems that basically, you know, you're flying and suddenly somebody turns on the quad or the whatever, and boom, you see their picture. And like, that's a really annoying, dangerous thing. I've also had analog system displaying a lot of static for no apparent reason in weird spots where I had to, you know, go through channels and change channels and stuff like that. I do believe that this system, because of the way it does things, eliminates a lot of these things. So if you wanted like a no-fuss system, I think this would actually be the system for you. You do have to keep in mind that it takes up more space than a normal system. So, but I've seen a lot of people making quads specifically for the Prosight HD, and they actually look pretty good. You can also get antennas now that are different, so you don't have to have this big antenna on the back. You can get like rather small ones. So I have to say it's a big leap forward in the right direction from Amimon. And now that I've tested this, I would probably also recommend that if you are looking into an HD system, that you go for this one and not for some of the new brands that are coming. Because if you think about it, this is a system that they've now had out for a long time actually. So a lot of the bugs have been ironed out. And you can feel that when you get a system that's actually working, that you're able to just plug in and fly. It just works. And I somehow doubt that any new player to this market have figured this out. And one of the key components about all of this that I must stress that you have to consider if you're buying the system is that you have to be able to trust it. When I got the faulty unit last time, it killed something in me regarding drones, because I really felt insecure. I really felt out of control. I felt it was dangerous when I was flying. I felt that I couldn't trust my system. And I don't care how good a system is, if you cannot trust it, it's not worth the money. So I'm actually happy to try this again and report that this is a system you can trust. I will be using this more, and I will be building another quad for it, and I will be taking out, I will have my friends try it, and I will probably report back on it sometime. But for now, I have to say that, definitely, I cannot support my old video of don't buy. I'm going to put a big annotation in front of it saying that people should watch this video instead, because I think it's only fair. And yes, I do get to keep the system, but to be honest, I don't need it. I don't need the money. I don't need the system. I'm doing this channel purely on my own free will, and I'm doing it because I find it interesting. So I hope you do trust me when I'm saying that I'm not saying all of this because I'm getting a free system, because the fact of the matter is I'm probably not going to use it that much right now anyways. If I get into racing, I might use it more. So on another side note of all of this, I'm sorry for not having made that many videos lately, but I'm never going to be one of those guys that puts out a video every other day, because I just don't have the time for it. What I do want to tell you is that in my next videos, I'm probably going to be focusing on two things. One is a small build I've made. I've made an 85mm quad that runs purely on KISS hardware, and it's amazing. I'm waiting for some hdpe plastic plates that I can CNC, so I can make a frame for it and make it all look good. So I'm definitely